Hi guys, welcome back to Two Worlds Collide podcast. On today's episode, we welcome back Scott Challen, aka Shallow Chal. On today's episode, we're going to go over the Anti-Semitic Hate and Extremism Bill 2026 and how terrible it is. We're also going to look into the Australian lobbying group and where we're headed. And we're also going to talk about the rallies happening up in Brisbane on Australia Day. I hope you guys enjoy. He was really, really good. Bit of a genius. He's all over the stuff. He's dedicates a lot of time to it. And yeah, fantastic what he does. Like I said, I don't think that we would have had the pushback if it wasn't for pages like him highlighting how bad this bill was at the start. Now, for anyone listening at home, this is being recorded on Monday the 19th, and this will be released on Thursday the 22nd or whatever. So the bill is already passed. So what we need to say now, or what we do say now about the bill and how this gets passed and what happens in the next couple of days, is pretty much going to be irrelevant because we're releasing this after the bill drops. So, I mean, it's out of our hands at the moment. Now it needs to go to debate, where they've practically guillotined any debate in the parliament, which pisses me off. It just shows like how much this is rushed and how it's not really, to me, it's not really showing a democracy at all.
That's never been about democracy, you know. And I think you guys, when you and Anthony spoke yesterday, Anthony from Oz versus the Agenda, you know, he made that pretty clear that as far as he was concerned, this legislation was written, the plan was already laid out before Bondi. You know, it was ready to go. Yeah,
that's what I said. I said as well, because I think Allegra Spender, the Teal chick,
yep.
So she had these amendments or this bill ready to go written up, and she tried to push it through 3 months ago.
In her electorate, that shooting happened.
And then surprise, surprise, it happened. It's funny though, whoever's connected to her, whoever's friends with the Teals, not a peep from them this week about freedom of speech, freedom of right, freedom of movement, prohibited groups, all this crap they're bringing through. Just shows in politics, you know, some people have to be silent on those that either fund them or support them or they're friends with them. They don't want to ruin that relationship, so they don't want to speak up against a certain bill, and shows a lot of cowardice, in my opinion.
This is a telling moment that will go on the record forever. This is the moment, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to what the rest of Australia looks like. And I know we keep having these crises one after the other, but ever since the first anti-immigration march in August, look where we are now in January, about to hit Australia Day, and how much has happened in the last 5 months. Right? And culminating in this legislation that's going to happen in the next day or two.
It's like we're having once-in-a-lifetime events every 3 months.
You can't keep up with it, Sam. It's constant, right?
I mean, it's great for business.
It's great for business.
It's great for views and viewerships, but I'd rather people didn't get whacked up at Bondi.
I had someone tell me once that Australia was such a slow news cycle that it was really hard to come up with stories here. But I don't know about you, mate, but I literally spend 5 minutes on Instagram and I've got five stories I can hit at any given time.
I wake up every single morning, quickly take a piss, quickly grab a coffee, look at my phone, have a shower, come down here, scream for 5 minutes, upload my reel, and I'm done. That's how easily it is to find. That's how easy I find news sources these days.
Especially for creating content. Good time to be a content creator, but also one of the most important roles in Australia right now. When I was flying down from Brisbane this morning, listening to your conversation with Anthony, I listened to the full pod, and it struck me how intelligent he is and how good that conversation was as an insight into the crucial work that he's done as an independent content creator. And you guys touched on this, was so many of us pick up content from what he does, right? And then we push it further. It goes further again. The reach that some of you guys have got with your accounts, short form content, long form content, all coming from his obsession with what's going on in that government right now.
Yeah, so, and just to give everyone a bit of a brief, I don't think he would mind me saying this, but, you know, I picked him up from the airport. He's got a earpiece in, and I'm like, he must be listening to music or something like that. He's listening to the news throughout the entire day, so he is across all this stuff. You know, he's just not grabbing snippets here and there from watching a couple of things. He is on the go 24/7, this guy, giving us the news of what the news normally doesn't report.
Yeah.
And thankfully we have someone like him. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't even maybe we wouldn't be contesting this bill. Maybe we wouldn't have been able to get on the front foot so early on it as well. Like, Susan Lay a couple of weeks ago, she comes out and says, oh yeah, I'm not going to stand in the way of the government bringing in new laws, new speech laws.
Yeah.
And then we push back, and she eventually goes, whoa, shit. I better push back on this, or else my seat's gone.
I better minor adjust my position.
Yeah.
Yeah, not fully pivot in the opposite direction, but minor adjust. What's the least amount I can do optically to make it look like I'm doing something positive?
Yeah.
I'm sick of the least amount.
I was pissed off at her. I invited her in the podcast. I sent her a massive email.
Well, you invited Chris Bowen too. He hasn't taken that one up.
Yeah, I know. He won't. Oh, maybe he will one day. I've actually lent off massively on Chris Bowen because I just think the climate debate will take care of itself.
Oh, Shitweasel will come back around.
Well, like there's no more climate debate over in America. That's been shut down. No one gives a shit anymore because they care about actually making their country sufficient for energy, because potentially what's going to happen over the next decade, right, with everyone politically moving pieces all over the board across the globe. But I openly invited her on the podcast, and she's there doing something. I knew she was being in Adelaide. I actually got a senator that I know to also reach out and ask her as well, so I got crickets back from her. And all I wanted to do, see, like, you know, I'm that person for 3 minutes behind the wheel every single day, but I would have just had her on for a nice conversation. I want to get behind the person that she has to perceive out as the political member she is, and give these stupid answers to everyone, and recorded answers that are already pre-required, and what they do and all this bullshit behind closed doors. I just wanted to get to know her as a person. But yeah, I mean, you can't even do that with some politicians these days.
I'm sure she's a nice person to sit down and have a conversation with. She's a trained pilot. She's lived in multiple countries. She's probably had a reasonably interesting life, I imagine. You sit down, she'd be just like any other normal person. She shits and pisses like the rest of us, right? But what's going on behind those closed doors in politics in Canberra right now? What's the agenda at play? You know, I think this whole game right now is fascinating. And as I said before, it's a pivotal moment. It's disgusting to me that we have leadership like Susan Lay leading the Conservative movement, which should be the opposition party. There shouldn't even be a compromise on this legislation as far as I'm concerned. This is Labor filth, and it should be gutted by any effective real opposition in this country.
Yeah, I wrote a tweet the other day about it. Anyone that thinks this bill is okay, they are not fit to govern the country, the state, local members of the council, nothing. They are not fit to be anywhere near a democracy if they think they can silence speech like that. Yeah,
and we got a government at 3 levels that are full of these people.
It's wild. It's wild. I must have hit some points with some people this week. I've got, because my wife sees more my subscription email listing come through for my weekly email, that I haven't done a weekly email in like a month. We need to get back on it because I've been lazy as, but we'll get back on the weekly emails. But yeah, there's been the Greens follow me, the Greens in ACT follow me, and Susan Lay. So those 3 have all been email subscribers this week.
Their visible accounts are following you.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even their burner accounts.
Not their burner accounts, not their burner emails they use, or their burner.
To the kids playing at home, what does that mean?
They got eyes on, and they're saying, "We know that we're watching you."
Yeah.
So I just said, "We know that we're watching you," right back at him, and did a story, and then I'll put him in I'm going to do an email subscription tonight, welcoming Susan Lay and the Greens to being an email subscriber to me. So that's going to be funny when I release it.
If you sat down with Susan Lay, what would be the first question you'd ask her? I mean, once you got past the polite normalities.
I want to know if her dad was an MI6 agent.
Good question.
Yeah. Have you done a deep dive into Susan Lay's history?
Dude, no, I really have zero interest in her as a person.
Yeah. Well, I did a deep dive in her because I'm just interested. When the MI6 stuff came up, that her dad was a possible MI6 agent, but this is all rumours, right? Because what they say, when he lived in the UAE, he was a pilot. But they don't think that was the case. They think that he was a MI6 agent. There's rumours and stuff like that. So I would love to ask her about that. I'd love to ask her how she grew up in the UAE, what it was like. Was it different? Like, did she have any memories from there? Especially back then. I know that she was quite pro-Palestine. She was one of the only members in the right-leaning government to sit on the Friends of Palestine movement inside the government. Her and Anthony Albanese chaired that together for 2 decades.
Some time ago.
Yeah. So they chaired that together for 2 decades. And then she has aspirations to lead the Liberal Party. We know the Liberal Party are backed by Israel-type lobbying. Yeah. So you have to be in line with the party movement and in line with the party structure. So she had to sort of tweak and say, well, look, I am still friends with the Palestine people, but this is a pro-Israel party, and we need to move that way. So I just want to ask questions like that. Like, all that shit is so interesting.
I think Australians deserve to know. I can understand a person's policy positions and outlook on the world evolving as they get older, you know, and as you learn more. But how do you sit on that, you know, pro-Palestine committee and then move into a position where she's now supporting, you know, potentially laws in Australia that will favour one group over another group in this country? Makes no sense to me.
No. But I would love to have her on, just to say that. But, I mean, the time's passed now.
Yeah, you never know. She just started following you. Yeah. Maybe she's thinking about it and she's just trying to gauge you out.
Well, and also as well, she's just One Nation have just taken her off, or taken her over in the polls. Like, what is these got? I understand.
You should see my ex-Liberal Party group chats that I'm in right now that are going nuts about that, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but this is the thing. Like, Labor members, they've got something to lose. Greens members, they've got something to lose. Tills members, they've got something to lose with coming on this podcast because they're up in the polls.
Yeah.
Liberals got nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
She's got nothing to lose with coming on this podcast.
But you know what's going through their mind, and I was thinking about this last night, is once again, what's the least amount that we can do to try and get us back up again? In not a complete restructure of the brand. And, you know, I look at branding and marketing constantly because I'm a business owner, as are you. How will this sell? Is my product look good? Does it fit well? Does it you know, meet people's expectations? Is it quality? Do people want to pay for it, or do they want to commit to it and feel something for it, engage with it? No one wants to engage with that brand right now.
No one wants to, because it's a sinking ship.
It's dead dark.
It's a sinking ship. And I think them polls as well, I think they're mostly, I reckon if you are probably 2 or 3% out. I honestly think that most of them polls are pretty lefty driven. And polls have traditionally been pretty lefty driven, and I don't think they're accurate. And I think
voice referendum poll.
Yeah, I reckon One Nation is higher, Labor are lower, and shit like this. I mean, Anthony Albanese got exposed this week, but I spoke about this yesterday. I reckon like they're smarter than this. Do you reckon with the hate speech laws though, they just put them up and be like, yeah, okay, so they'll go hard on this. We know everyone's going to go hard on this. But it's really this package that we want. That's the package that we want to put through. But this is a distraction.
Yeah, well, I think that they are. Yeah, they're going to do what they have to do, what the least amount is that they can do to maintain donors in power. It's as simple as that. Whether it's good for Australia or not, these guys live in a huge bubble. The bubble is so disconnected from the reality of Australia. When people are ringing her up or ring Susan up or any of these politicians that are going to be in favour potentially of this bill, what do you reckon they're telling them? That this is what the rest of Australia wants. This is what your donors want. This is what the lobby wants. This is what we want.
What does that tell you?
It tells you that you're not representing your electorate.
Tells you that you don't work for the people, do you? You're working for the people who either fund you or have stuff on you. Well, that's who you're working for.
Or have stuff on you. I don't want to think about it that way, but we all do, right?
Yeah, of course we do.
But look at Allegra Spender's electorate, though, incorporates Bondi. If you ask anyone in Bondi right now, they'll probably tell you these laws are the best thing since sliced bread. You know, but if you ask anyone where I live in Queensland, they're all freaking out about it.
Yeah.
Ask your mates.
I mean, well, this is one. I mean, it hasn't really been a big topic with a lot of my mates. They've seen a lot of my stuff and they like a lot of my stuff. They know I'm hugely busy this week, so no one's really tried to call or ask me about the rules, except for people like yourself, or I talk to Anthony or Chalky or someone like that. But yeah, it's not really. I don't think it's too forefront in the mind of so many Australians, because it's only going to affect, you know, like massive accounts like me. So there are a lot of people that are aware of this, and we've made a lot of noise. But again, your average Australian is pretty disconnected. I think they're sort of going.
Well, will this get rid of the Nazis? Wow. Is that what they're thinking?
Well, that's it. But where does it stop? Where does it stop with the Nazis? Do you know what I mean? Like, even with the Green side, like I've said before, you know, what laws might be good for some now might not be good for some later. Now, I don't like the Nazis. You don't like the Nazis. They don't like us. You know what I mean? Like, we don't like each other. But still, I believe in freedom of speech and their freedom of right to be able to exist if they're not, you know, actually, you know, causing mayhem or inciting violence. Let's say that. You know what I mean? If they're not inciting violence, like, unfortunately, if you want to beat these guys, you can't just use the death of 15 Jews that was practically caused by Islamic extremists and then go after the group that had nothing to do with it.
Of course.
That's the problem with this.
Yeah, but it was never designed to be able to go after the group that did it in any way. We would be looking at this completely differently if the legislation was structured around that, but it's not.
It's not at all. It's not at all. These laws don't stop the Bondi massacre in any way, shape or form.
No, Hasty made a really good point with his content that he released yesterday, saying that he can't see anything here where that would help any agency do a better job of what they're currently doing. So why would you support it?
Yeah.
And all it's going to do is remove hard-won liberties and freedoms.
Yeah, I'm glad people like Hasty, Price, Hanson, Rennick.
Well, Rennick called it out.
Yeah. Rennick did call it out.
And he also pointed out that he was one of only 6 senators that voted against the misinformation, disinformation bill, remember?
I did see that.
Yeah, out of 76.
Him, Babbitt, Fatman, Pat, or whatever.
Yeah, Fatima.
Yeah, and Pocock.
Antic and Canavan as well.
Yeah. And that was one. Antic. Antic was practically the first one of the Liberal Party to come out really, really hard on this. And so
Dude's a hero.
Yeah, he's good, man.
Dude's a hero. I can't believe he's from South Australia. He should be from Queensland.
No way. He's one about. He's good, man. I like him. I've met him once before. He's a cool dude.
Could you see Antic jumping ship to One Nation?
Maybe. I can actually see a lot of people doing it over the course of this year. If these polls keep going the way they're going, it's a sinking ship.
I got off the phone just before I got here with a pretty well-known guy. Hasn't been elected as a politician, but has run quite a couple of times now as independent, but still built a pretty decent brand for himself, and currently joining One Nation. That's what's happening out there.
Yeah.
I've got mates that have joined One Nation. Friends that are all leaning into it.
I've had a whole bunch of mates that are not interested in politics whatsoever.
Yeah.
They've become members of the One Nation South Australian Party. They just sent me screenshots. I'm like, what's this? I'm in politics now. I'm a member. I'm like, Jesus, okay.
Dude.
These guys are not interested at all. So,
do you reckon they'll be disillusioned when this, no matter what happens in the next couple of years?
Yeah.
Politics does disillusion you, especially once you've gone to a couple of branch meetings and you're struggling to go, well, why don't I feel like anything's changing? I've been doing this for a bit.
It's numbers and membership fees.
Yeah, the good thing about One Nation, though, as a member at this point, especially if you're getting involved in grassroots branches that are emerging, is that you've got the ability to try and sway some of the direction of those branches. The problem for One Nation will be whether they listen to the branches or not.
Well, I mean, that's the biggest thing, right, is building branches, having effect on the branches, and then listening to your members. Because the Liberal Party, they say that the people running the party are the members, but that is horseshit. I went to one of their meetings.
Famously called out the DEI.
Yeah. That's
you spoke about Susan Ley at length, didn't you?
Yeah. To date, that's probably one of the funniest moments in my very short career of being who I am.
Were you considering joining the Liberal Party at that point?
No. They asked me before that to join when I was maybe 40,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, right.
And I just said, no, I've got no place in being in a political party. And I actually said to him, I'm like, what if I have to come after you? And then 3 weeks later, I was heavily coming after him. What
if Sam wakes up one day and just chooses to go against the Liberal Party and you're a member? You can't do it.
Can't do it. They'll kick you out.
No,
you've been kicked out.
I got kicked out. I got kicked out famously last year. It was a pretty impressive moment, all because I made a TikTok that said, do not vote for Jared Rennick. That's literally what the TikTok said. Do not vote for Jared Rennick. Now, I was being sarcastic, tongue-in-cheek, of course. I can say this afterwards. But my words were, do not vote for Jared Rennick. Do not vote for this man. I can't support him. I'm in the Liberal Party. Don't vote for him.
Oh, okay.
But, Jared Rennick's story should never have ended in the Liberal Party the way it did. He's working really hard to build branches and get the People First brand up and running. He's got a fight on his hands. It's not easy to get political parties up and running in Australia.
I really hope he has success. I do. I think he's a good man. His heart's in the right place. He's a genius when it comes to taxation, money system, his economic base and value that he could provide to the country. I think he is a genius with that, and I like him a lot. It's just going to take a long time to build up a party. Like, these things just don't happen overnight.
Yeah, and that rift between him and One Nation is so big.
It's massive.
Yeah, I just can't see how they're going to get over that.
So it's that massive, and I never replied to it because I don't get to, if someone's got a problem with me and I know that person, give me a call and we can have a chat about it. We don't have to openly air anything out. But I did a reel saying, unite the right.
Yeah.
All the parties on the right, they need to unite to be able to come together because the Liberals ain't it. And we will know eventually whether One Nation are it, but we just don't know now.
Yeah.
But we will in the future if things keep going the way, and they may be good, they may be bad, but it'd be better than whatever is happening right now.
It's pretty hard to run a country, Sam.
Very hard.
And if you look at One Nation, they've never really been a party that thought seriously about leading the country. They've never had to be, because they've been the convenient protest vote for a really long time. State and federal elections roll around, they pick up a certain amount of votes, they pick up a certain amount of money, and their model is comfortable doing that. They've structured the party over the years to do that very effectively. It's one thing to go from that place and then scale it 100 times. Running candidates in every seat around the country, then potentially having the capacity and the firepower to put together a government, a coalition potentially, of minor parties, of themselves, of maybe some nationals or liberals that decide to defect to create a government with them. That could be done if you can put enough seats together. That's a whole nother game altogether.
It's going to be interesting.
Well, that card is on the table for 2028.
Yeah, it is, 100%.
That's mind-blowing in Australia.
Yeah. I think that potentially might happen this year. I haven't heard anything and stuff like that, but I think that might happen. That's one of my predictions for this year, that potentially we'll see something like that happen. But what I was moving at before with Rennick, I made a post about Unite the Right, and he sort of, he came out, he's just got this grift with One Nation, and he wrote a big thing about how they don't like each other or whatever they were doing with money this or finance this, and I mean, they openly don't like each other, and it pisses me off, and this is why it pisses me off. When I was over in Afghanistan, I lived in a room similar to the size of this with 8 other guys. That's 8 other alpha males, that's 8 other personalities, and that's 8 other blokes you have to live around, who snore, who fart, who sneeze, who get sick, who have temper outbursts, who have issues at home, who have kids at home. And we lived like that for 7 months, 6, 7 months, whatever it was. And when we were inside the wire, there would be times where we would blue, like the room across to us. One of the guys broke another guy's nose. Like that's, these things would happen all the time. We would get in fist fights regularly with these guys. It's just the way it is. The environment you're in, the high pressure environment you're in. But when we went outside the wire, we would die for each other. We knew exactly who the enemy were. And we were willing to die for each other because we live by a code of, you're fighting for the man next to you. And that's how we took it. That's how we lived our life. And now, if our soldiers are expected to do that overseas, then our politicians can't do that. Our politicians get to go home every night. Our politicians get to sleep in their own bed every night. Our politicians sometimes might not even have to speak to this person, but they might have to agree with them sometimes or debate them on ideas behind closed doors. Then they can't put up a strong, united front. This is what pisses me off about politicians. They let their egos get in the way. And someone like Pauline Hanson and Gerard Rennick, or whether it be Bob Katter and somewhere else, or whether it be Ralph Beber and someone else, or whoever on the right, these pricks can't get along with each other. And I've just explained to you the story that I've had and I've witnessed and I've lived through. Then these people are just nothing to me.
There's a difference there, though, right? Those guys that you lived with in that room, those 8 fellas, you trained with for months before that deployment, right? You guys knew each other inside out. You knew each other's habits probably. You knew each other's families. You guys trained together for a long time to reach that deployment stage. And you then work and live in an environment where it's high pressure, high risk, high speed constantly, long moments of boredom as well, and tension. And you learn and teach yourself the capacity to be able to handle tough environments and to make mature adult decisions when the time comes. How many of these politicians have been bred and raised in an environment where that's their working life?
Probably none of them. But
probably none.
Probably none of them. Hasty.
Yeah, Hasty gets it.
Hasty.
He probably would. And if you didn't know Hasty and you were dropped in a room with Hasty and you had an objective to try and reach then you probably could work a solution together, because he would be trained to do that. A lot of military guys, a lot of guys that work in FIFO mining camps would get that as well. A lot of guys that have worked overseas or run their own businesses would understand that too. You know, but you've got to adapt.
But I think my point is, if these politicians can't put their egos aside to put Australia first with the 27 million people that depend on them, are they fit for purpose? Yeah,
well, they've never done it before. They've never had to. You know, I mean, they're compromises within their own party to reach their positions. We're a long journey. You know, politicians often eat shit to get to where they are inside the party. But, you know, they when these independents and miners, that's a bit of a different story.
Yeah, and it's just disappointing. I mean, I think, just for me personally, I just can't grasp that fact. I almost want to get their heads and bang them together.
Yeah, but have a look at it. You know, even in the social media realm, right, or the fractured political movements that we kind of touch with as well. The NSN, you know, they've come out against you, they've come out against me, they're coming chalky, but they're coming against, they pick their enemies and attack people as well. You know, we've had our beefs with these people too. But, you know, we're all infighting in our own weird way, trying to find a balance forward too. Anthony touched on that in his conversation with you yesterday as well. You know, there's dynamics at play all the time. There's a lot of people just creating content or helping people understand the narrative that can't get over their own egos with each other too.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that's a difficult problem as well.
That is,
because it fractures the movement. You know?
That is, but also at the moment we're not making decisions, or we can have a lot of influence on this, but we're not having like influence within the bill in Canberra.
Well, we're not going to run the country.
Exactly right. Like, we're also just commentating and swinging influence, you know, whichever way we believe that we should be swinging influence for our voice and our opinions. But the difference is that they're not making decisions that could directly affect 27 million people.
Good leaders help mediate those difficult conversations and navigate those rifts, you know, and good leaders should be able to pull these people together. I'll revert back to Menzies. You know, Menzies put together the Liberal Party. It was a coalition of minor parties that were fragmented, that were never going to be able to get Australia back under control from the socialists and the way Australia was heading at the time, without that ability to be able to heal rifts and lead. And people saw that strength. We
almost need, because the Liberal Party's failed, we almost need another thing like that to happen.
Yeah, possibly. It's time for it. You know, things have a lifespan. You know, economic systems have a lifespan. Everything does. And we're at that turning point now where the next shift is unfolding. But this is a good thing. The Liberal Party's been a wet rag for, 15 years as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people think that we're in this mess because of Labor. Who's governed the 15 years before this?
We're in this mess because of the opposition was really bad. You know, and not only that, but I mean, when, the Morrison government tore up the social contract during COVID, when they basically sold us all out then.
Exactly right.
Well, the Liberal Party's dead. Yep. They were dead 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just taken 5 years for the corpse to reach this point now where there's barely any pulse left and no one's going to be able to resuscitate it.
And what happened? They went dead and then they tried to swing really far back left. And now they don't stand for anything, so there's no opposition, so everyone's gone to One Nation.
Yeah, and, what they did was they effectively kicked out anyone who was a conservative as well. Yeah. Well, they kicked me out. They kicked out, I've seen them kick out a bunch of people. Personally, I think they went downhill since they kicked me out, but hey,
I've got a mate that used to play for the Brisbane Lions back in the day, and he's like, they went shit when they delisted me.
But this is what needs to happen. Have a look at, is it Julian Lesser? He's the Liberal MP. Did you hear about him?
No.
The Jewish Liberal MP who's come out saying that, the Liberal Party must support these new laws because that's the moral high ground to take.
Yeah.
Now, he was the one that also supported the voice referendum.
Stick your little tiny hat back on, bro, and shut up.
You're in the wrong party, mate.
Yeah, that's it. You're in the wrong party. We don't want these laws. No conservative person wants these laws. No left-leaning person wants these laws.
Are there any Jews in the Labor Party?
Don't know.
I'd actually, can anyone at home, if you're listening to this, drop it in the comments, because I'd be interested to know that.
Yeah.
Because Julian Lesser's in the wrong party.
Yeah, 100%
He's in the wrong party. But is there any Jews in the Labor Party?
No.
I'm not sure.
He might be in the wrong party, but...
he hasn't got a vagina, so he can't be in the Teals.
Well, David Pocock has.
Is he in the Teals, though?
Nah. So he took Climate 200 money to get his position in 2022.
But he's not a Teal.
But then he stopped taking Climate 200 money in 2025 over small donations, and donations under $15,000 don't need to be recognised by a group.
Yeah.
So he took that money, but the reason he didn't take Climate 200 money is because he wanted to be separated from the Teals, but he's a Teals member.
But Sam, he didn't break the law.
No, he didn't.
No, these are the rules.
Yes, they are the rules.
And he played within the rules of the game.
They all do.
They all do. It's just that the rules are stacked against you and me, and they work very, very well for people who know how to embed themselves in the game.
It's called, what's it called? Political capital.
Yeah. And he's got political capital now, and he's in a very safe seat for his values and beliefs, and his donors are in his ears telling him what to do.
Yeah, they all are.
I think his intentions potentially are good. I've had people reach out to me about him when I've made content or had a crack at him before, saying, no, he's a good guy, and if you knew him, you'd understand. I don't really care about knowing him. I just care about what he votes on.
Yeah. Look, he was one of the only senators that didn't vote for the hate speech bill.
Yeah, because he probably wanted harder laws.
Yeah, well, probably wanted harder laws, but also as well, like, if you're going to be the sixth that stands up against it, you can get that, like, right-leaning masculine vote of, like, wear this or wear that. But it's all deception. We know this.
Well, it's a Game of Thrones.
But, I mean, we're playing the game a little bit differently now, aren't we? Because we started the Australian lobbying group. Now, the reason... Because I had so many people over months and months and months say to me, what are you doing about this? You keep speaking, you keep raising awareness, you got to do something about it. And not that I listen to people or let anyone control my voice or control my narrative, but I do know in politics now that, if you start a political party, one... Peter Malinowskis just capped us with donations of $5,000, and if I take donations over $5,000, I can get thrown in prison for 10 years.
Wow.
Thanks, Peter Malinowskis, you snake.
Who will comfortably win the next election in South Australia.
He will smash it. And two, I know that now, over the year I've been doing this for, that the people standing behind the politicians, lobbyists, they normally control the politicians. For example, lobbyists wrote this bill.
Yep.
Jewish lobbyists wrote this bill. Now, I'm not having a crack. For all the people that had a crack at me last episode for bringing up Jewish lobbying, I'm still allowed to do that. That is not anti-Semitic. But what I'm going to say is Jewish lobbying wrote this bill, but then there was other Jewish lobbying that were heavily against this bill.
Yep.
So it just shows there's maybe leftist Jewish lobbying, and then there's maybe rightist Jewish lobbying. But there was so I'm not saying that all Jewish lobbying is for this bill, because they're not. A few of them heavily came out against it. But what I'm saying here, and what my point is here, is that half of these bills aren't even written by politicians.
I would say more than half.
I would say probably 90%. 90% of bills like this, they're written by lobbyists.
Yep.
And they're moulded and shaped by lobbyists. And lobbyists
ready to go.
They go, here, if you debate these 4 lines, these can get taken out so you can get a win, but the rest of the 90 pages, make sure they stay in here. Yep. And they slide it over the table. And that's how it works.
Yeah. Who benefits from a bill like this, though? Like, what corporate interest benefits from a bill like this? So who would have written it, to have it ready?
It's really interesting when you dive into it, because I haven't quite got my grasp on this yet, because there is Jewish lobbying that was for it, there's Jewish lobbying that's against it.
So both sides of the coin.
Yeah, it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, so who wins?
No one.
Not you.
Not me.
No.
Not the Australian people.
Yeah, things just keep getting shitter.
Yep. Not the Australian people that want to speak out against mass immigration.
I thought your politician was meant to represent your electorate.
It definitely doesn't. I don't even know who my politician is here, actually.
Oh, Sam, you're so disconnected from politics.
Yeah. They're disconnected from me. I was down the I think the Moriata Liberal dude. I was down the coffee shop the other day, and I seen him out the corner of my eye, and he took his phone out and showed someone, and they started laughing at me.
Ooh.
And I thought to myself, I see you.
Yeah, you have a high degree of paranoia, though, and situational awareness. I've been to that coffee shop with you.
I always sit in the corner.
Sam doesn't sit with his back up, with his face to the wall, mate.
I always sit in the corner, so I know who's walking in, and I can see the whole room.
Yeah.
And I seen him out, and I was watching him out the corner of my eye on my sunglasses, and I'm like, he's laughing at me.
Nah, laughing at himself, mate. He just wishes he was you.
Yeah.
He hasn't got anywhere near the followers. Look, a year ago, you started doing this. You had conversations with us a few months ago about starting the lobby group. We went a little further with that than most people probably would have. It was an idea and a concept, text message, a phone call, a couple of emails, a couple of WhatsApp chats and Signal chats and all the rest of it, and bada bing, bada boom. Look at you go. You've got a lobby group, Sam.
Well, we have a lobby group, and one of the main reasons as well is because, you can't just... Yeah, we can have influence a little bit by saying what we say, but we need to get inside Parliament.
Inside,
we have to get inside, and we have to start discussing with Parliament members about what Australians want in there. And now, this is the most powerful thing I think about the Australian group, and you might be able to explain it a bit better than me, but lobby groups obviously represent someone. There's like mining lobbying groups, there's transgender lobbying groups.
Clients.
Yeah, clients. So the transgender lobbying group has clients, the transgender community.
Yep.
Where's the Australian lobbying group for the Australian people?
Yeah.
Politicians don't do it anymore. You got to know that. Politicians don't work for us, don't work for you and me. They may look like they're doing that, but the laws, some of the money, it all comes from lobbyists. These bills, they're lobbyist driven. So we need to be able to build this thing up and be one of the most powerful lobbying groups in Australia. I mean, I don't want to sell myself short on anything, you know what I mean? I don't do stuff half-assed.
No, don't do stuff half-assed or go down towards a dead end with a zero-sum outcome. And this has kicked off now. Huge launch, thousands of sign-ups in the first couple of weeks. Really strong reaction to it. Like, actually, to be honest with you, overwhelming amounts of reaction to it. And to anyone who's supported it so far, like, thank you so much for what you've done. Lobbying in Australia. The lobbyist with the most amount of clients in Australia has 88 clients. 88, right. We have more members in the Australian lobby group now than every other lobby group in the country combined that's probably ever existed already.
Really?
What's going to happen when we have 1 million? Right? And you're standing there talking to that politician with our policy, our base, our foundation, saying that, well, this is what's important to us, and we've got 1 million members. And not only that, but we've got X amount of dollars from those 1 million memberships that give us the ability to prosecute this policy that we want to see unfold here. You know,
that's powerful.
Dude, that's beyond powerful. They haven't seen power like that before. This is a complete game changer. This is playing the game, their game, our way, and that's gonna raise some eyebrows.
Yeah, I always like to say that instead of thinking the system doesn't exist, we have to live inside reality, and the reality is that stuff like this happens, and we need to be on the end where we can have coordination and influence.
So now what we've got to do is continue to build the base membership. So if you're already a member, encourage you to get a couple more people on board, right? This is going to be a numbers game at the end of the day. You know, you could join a political party. You can also be a client of the lobby group. There's nothing wrong with that, unless your political party says that you can't do that. But not that I'm not aware of any that say that at the moment. So you can be a member of the lobby group. You can donate at the moment. The members portal will be live next month, where as a member, you can upvote and downvote policy positions, and you can also donate towards specific policy positions. So if the immigration policy is the one that you support the most, that's your hot topic, bang, support it. You know, vote it up and donate on it. So that way, you know, these things get ranked that way. You have input into it. And then we've also built in the ability for people who have no money, people who don't have any cash, who are really doing it tight right now, to get membership with the lobby group through proof of work. So you'll be able to post social media content or create content or become a brand ambassador for the lobby group and show proof of work for membership as well.
That's a good idea.
Mate, that's a game changer.
Because people just want to give their time. Some people are, like, the cost of living is killing us.
100%.
So people have their time.
Why should you not have a say because you've got no money?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's just so not fair. And this whole society is becoming so transactional right now that people who don't have any money, and there's a lot of people out there that are really on the bones of their ass that are struggling, they're the ones who have they're the ones that have the most to lose right now because they don't have anything like left, mate. If you're already living in your car, what are you going to do? You know, mate, I'd love to help, but I'm already living in my car. Great. I'll tell you what, you've got a phone. You can share half a dozen social media posts. Boom, proof of work.
Imagine having 100,000 volunteers. Imagine what you could do.
Listen, guys, we need to man the booths around the country and support these policies. We'll be scorecarding the politicians. And so this way, what we will be doing is ranking politicians by the number of our policies that they align with and support. So you'll be able to pick your politician. How good's that?
That's good.
Oh yeah,
that's good.
I'm excited.
Well, it makes them accountable now.
Well, more accountability. There can never be enough, right? Like these guys, a lot of these people have operated in the dark, as have these lobby groups. This is why you're seeing legislation like the stuff that's happening this week, because it's been allowed to fester in dark corners of power. And we're going to shine some light into that. and also be accountable to the ALG members. I mean, there's a lot of, over the years, people have become so red-pilled and black-pilled, that they've become so not trusting of the system. When something like this emerges, you naturally get people coming back out going, oh, you're just looking for a way to grift or to sell your merch or, pick up money from people, from subscribers. Dude, you're a veteran, right? You served your country. You put your life on the line for this place. You know a bunch of people like that. We all know a bunch of people like that. This country is worth more to us than just being an economic unit in an immigration Ponzi scheme to pump up house prices for someone who's already got 3 or 4 of the damn things, mate. It's not fair, it's not working, and it's not right for our kids.
I have so many people come here all the time for this grifting stuff. I didn't even know what it was like. Well, I didn't even know what grifting was until I started selling merch. I'm like, yeah, no shit, I don't work. This is my job.
Yeah, thanks for the bucket hat too, mate.
Yeah,
great
no worries. Well, yeah, they're coming out. Hey,
Cracker.
Here's my grift. For any females out there or any males that want these sick grey singlets and my bucket hats, they're about to drop this week. So head over to my merch program and buy my shit.
Yeah, I highly recommend Sam's shit. 5 out of 5 stars for me.
Yeah.
But think about this. How many people have you reached with your content in this last 12 months? Millions and millions and millions of people.
Probably maybe well over 100 million.
Yeah, well over 100 million. You've actually changed the opinion of politicians and people and helped guide the direction of the country.
No,
is that not worth a bucket hat or 3?
I know, that's it, mate. I mean, and I was having a discussion about this with Chocky before. Like me and him started talking about this when we were both at 10,000 followers. And it went from 10,000 to, he's at almost 500,000. I'm at 325,000 or something like that, just on Instagram. But it just shows, I
love that story.
About also as well, look at the things that people are talking about now.
Yep.
We weren't talking about this stuff 12 months ago, not on mainstream. Mainstream, we weren't talking about this stuff. But now everyone's finally, I hate fucking...
How much of your position's changed in the last 12 months?
Massively.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah. So your own research, going down these rabbit holes, having the conversations that you're having, have helped shape your opinion of the world and what's happening in your country, and put you in a position now where you're like, well, I can't just keep talking about it. I've got to do something more. And so hence the lobby group. Right, you find a bunch of people that you can work with and you create this thing, and boom, we've created a legal vehicle for people to get on board and make change in their country. People who don't want to do a podcast, people who can't do a podcast, people who don't want to create reels and content, who don't want to have an audience or put their head above the parapet, all just join and contribute that way. How good is that?
Well, it's that good that me and my wife were out to lunch the other day, and some lady came up to me and she was crying and giving me a hug, just being like, thank you for... she mentioned the AGO and she mentioned a few other things, and I don't want to toot my horn too much because I hate it, but it was like having experiences like that. It just doesn't, it's not like, it doesn't only not feel good, it just shows the mindset people are in at the moment. Like they feel like there's no one talking for them,
desperate and powerless. And
there's some guy that is on his mic in Adelaide chirping 3 minutes every day, and they think that I am some hero, and I'm not at all. But they see that figure, they come up and run out to me in public, give me a hug, and thank you so much. It's like, that just shows the state of this country and how much these politicians have been rorting us for decades now. These people are fed up, mate. They are fed up. They are that fed up that they follow me.
And because so many people have seen through the lies. And if you think about those lies, right, up until 2020, we had, I would call still a medium trust society where we knew they lied, the politicians lied. But as you've said before, when houses were affordable, you'd kind of put up with the lie. The grift, the political grift was always there. That kind of soft corruption was always there. But while you could afford a house at 3 times or 4 times earnings, we all kind of went,
it's okay.
Yeah, they lie, put it, but at least I can afford a house and I can still raise a family and start a business and be aspirational. Once all that went, we all went, I don't trust you guys anymore, and you lie about everything. 2020 was that moment where everything just crumbled from there. And so if you look at the last year, so the borders reopened in late 22, I think it was. We had 23, the economics of 23 and 24. Banks hike interest rates 13 times, and suddenly everyone's, busted for their mortgages. Everyone's broke. Inflation's running hot. And you're like, you guys have screwed this up so bad that the journey to a place where you go, hey, your immigration policy is shit, that's not working, you're wrecking the country and the economy's screwed, takes time. It takes time for people to get there. This is the reckoning now.
Yeah.
They've actually activated so many people across this country that are so pissed off with them, hence why conservative movement's fallen apart.
And not only that as well, the young movement amongst people, like Labor are slowly losing the grasp on the younger generation.
Yep.
They are losing the grasp on the young generation. And more young people are coming out to me in public being like, thank you for your content. Like, I didn't realise this was happening, because Labor's generally had the younger vote.
Yeah.
And they're losing it hand over fist. Like, they can't keep telling us all this a bunch of crap that they're teaching in schools, and then kids are getting out of school and be like, I've actually been indoctrinated for the past 6-7 years. Like, they are losing that vote now. When they lose that vote, the whole thing's come crumbles down.
I think it's dangerous what they've created with the identity politics.
Massively.
Like, I didn't realise the repercussion of that until I kind of got involved with the March for Australia movement and realised that the identity politics had shaped a generation of Gen Z kids, young men, into really radical right-wing movements.
And that
look, I'm not
started
saying
over
that they're
in America.
wrong or right. Like, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we want our country back. They want their country back. But they're so focused on the identity side of that's now become the target of this legislation. That's the real target.
Yeah.
They're trying to shut down that.
Yeah.
Because they're scared of what they've created now.
Yeah.
Frankenstein's off the leash, mate.
Yeah. Well, mate, there's actually a few things that we might not be able to say in a few days' time. Like, if I put this podcast out in a few days' time and these laws pass, like, and we release it then,
You think these laws will pass?
I don't think the hate speech side of laws will pass, but
The gun laws will get through.
Gun laws, 100%. Greens are with them on that. Prohibited groups, Greens aren't with them on that. They've came out and said that. And this is like Anthony yesterday.
Yeah, but the Greens want more. Oh, they just, they want to add all these other, minorities to it, right?
Yeah, they
these
do.
identity
But
minorities.
yeah, but they're not going to willing to.
I read their submission yesterday, advocating for more, and it was like, or it might have been the LGBT multiple alphabet people that had written this thing.
Yeah, that was the hate speech stuff.
I was like,
that got thrown out.
Cow, you guys just keep, it's like, victims. I'm like, good God, really? Is it that bad for you? Cause,
victims with very little argument supporting their statements.
Yeah, I mean, we all know gay people, right? Like, I don't actually know anyone that gets a hard time for being gay anymore.
No.
I mean, it's pretty much normalised.
I've got a gay dude coming on in 2 episodes' time. One of the toughest Australian soldiers there is.
Yeah.
Toughest Australian soldiers there is.
There you go. But does his sexuality define him?
Not at all.
Yeah, there you go. It's just like,
Not at all.
It's just so secondary to what a person is.
Yeah.
I don't understand the whole craft my identity around my sexuality.
Yeah.
But people do that. And so what was that? I saw this meme the other day, and it was like, I can't remember which airport it was. It might have been Adelaide, actually, because you guys suck down here. And it was like, there was 4 different transgender type, different binary, non-binary, furry, lover, flag things, symbolism, that you're all welcome here.
Oh.
It was a government department, like at the airport.
I'm not surprised.
And I'm looking at this thing going, I've never even seen half these symbols before. And someone had written, Act Grok, can you explain what all these are? And it was like this huge list of things.
When I was when I had the birth of my child, and I was walking in and out of the hospital at 5 a.m. every morning, come back and feed the dogs, I was reminded that there was a LGBTQIA plus flag. There was the Torres Strait Islander flag and the Indigenous flag. No Australian flag.
Yeah, mate. Department of Transport in Queensland's exactly the same.
Yep.
You're all welcome here, except for Australians.
Yeah.
Except for you paying taxes.
I'm just thinking to myself, is my daughter allowed to be born here?
Oh, well, at the moment she is still. And look, we'll take the country back. I think we'll win over time. I don't think it's a dead end yet. In a week's time, we might have some more uphill battles to face, and we might have to adjust the way we create content, have conversations, the groups that we create. But, I'd rather have known that we created the lobby group when we did, ready to go forward now, than to try and do it in potentially 3 or 4 months' time when, any association or organisation could be on that list that Tony Burke controls. You trust that guy?
I take the piss out of him all the time with his electorate in Watson, 60% of people don't speak English at home for their first language. Who's he going to come after?
How many people is he going to naturalise next weekend at citizenship ceremonies?
That's it. Who's he going to come after?
Shout out to an account called Nobody's Take. Great fella. He's super smart. And he put up a piece yesterday. It was like at next weekend's Invasion Day ceremonies when they naturalise more citizens, like calling that the invasion. Yeah, and it was like...
That's brilliant.
It was pretty funny because they naturalise, there's more people coming into the country every single day than came on the first fleet, from the invasion day.
It's mate, it's hugely disappointing. Well, like the law, but just even thinking that they can get these laws through, like having the arrogance to think that these laws are okay, and then they, I watched Tony Burke debate it, saying that he's devastated these speech laws can't come through. That's his main thing.
I was devastated he didn't let Candace Owens into the country.
Yeah, mate, I would have invited her on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have loved to have her on.
That would have been a great conversation.
Yeah,
but I bought
cool.
tickets to see Don Jr. when he was coming to Australia as well, and he wasn't allowed in the country either. That's Donald Trump's son.
I know.
Get your head around that.
Wow. I watched Tucker Carlson when he was here.
Oh, did you?
In Adelaide, yeah.
Yeah,
Massive
I went and
fan.
saw him in Brisbane.
That was 2-3 years ago now.
I think it was about 18 months, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Babbitt was at that, so was Clive Palmer.
Yeah.
I think Clive sponsored the tour.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Clive.
When he was launching the Trumpeter Patriots, right?
Yeah. And then they did a tour with Tucker Carlson. That's when I didn't have my account. That's when I wasn't. I was just I didn't have my account. I was just a regular person.
Yeah, it was actually one of those events where I first had someone come up to me and go, "Oh, you're that guy off Instagram."
Yeah.
That makes that content. He was an old guy too, because my audience is all old, obviously.
Are they?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get a few young guys. Actually, it was funny in Bali at Christmas. I'm walking down the street in Legion, and this lady comes up to me and goes, "Oh, I love your lobby group. I love what you're doing." She was with her family. Do you guys take crypto? No, not yet, but keep your eyes open.
My main target audience is 18 to 35-year-old males.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, which is good. Love that side of it. And then after that, it is 35 to 45-year-old males.
Yeah.
And then females, aged 35 to 45 after that.
This country has a real problem with women at the moment, mate. Like, the way they're leaning ideologically, politically. It's good that you're getting engagement through those people.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of divorced women out there that are making some really poor decisions about politics.
Abby Chatfield follows.
Oh, my God. Does she just sicken the crap out of you or what?
Yeah.
I can't stand a boyfriend. I can't stand her. Everything about him sucks.
They're being, but they're being coordinated and pushed down onto us. Like, that, right? That the media and the government
you sure,
are
Sam?
propping
That's
them
a pretty
up.
big conspiracy, mate.
They're propping them up. They're propping them up because they're seeing the shift of people like myself and Big Chalky push back.
Yeah.
They're seeing us grow to an exponential rate that we probably haven't seen before with accounts.
That's because it's refreshing to see real people talk real shit.
Yep. And they're trying to jam those two down our throats at the moment to try and claw back the narrative. That's what's happening. And the more they push it back, the more someone like Elliot Loney, I'd like to call him a friend now, he was on my podcast recently. He does these skits of taking the piss out of him.
Man, he's so good. I didn't realise he was on your pod.
Yeah. Two episodes ago.
I'll download that for the flight home.
It's brilliant. And
mate, he's real clever.
He's really, really good. And at the last bit of the episode, so if you go to the last 5 minutes of the episode, he does voiceovers. So he does Morgan Freeman, Bear Grylls, Bruce McAvaney, and someone else. And you won't be listening to it, watching it, will you? You'll just be...
No, I'll just be listening.
Yeah, so you don't have to close your eyes whilst watching it, but they are perfect.
Yep.
And he does Matthew McConaughey. They are perfect.
I think comedy can help save us, mate. I think that stuff is so important. Just keep memeing them and keep having a crack at it, and just keep exposing it because people engage with it.
Yeah, voices like Isaac Butterfield, you know how they tried to cancel him for a few jokes. They tried to cancel... and someone said to me the other day that they didn't, but they 100% did during the Harris Biden administration. They tried to cancel, who's that black comedian? He was making...
Chappelle. Dave Chappelle.
Yep, they tried to cancel him for transgender jokes.
Man, I loved him 20 years ago. When he had the original Chappelle show. That was on SBS. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I think it was on SBS. Never missed an episode. You can go back and watch a season of that,
But, mate, comedians are, like I said before, comedians are sometimes the ones that push through the arc of society.
Yeah.
And a lot of people follow them because a lot of people laugh at it. They're like, yeah, this is okay to talk about.
Well, why did the king in his castle used to have a jester in the court? You know, to make the king realise that he's as human as everybody else as well, and to take the piss out of him when he was doing dumb things. I listened to Ricky Gervais's latest Netflix special on the flight down as well.
He's brilliant.
I had time for your podcast and the Ricky Gervais one. I've still got a little bit of that one left. So good.
Yeah.
So funny. I'm sitting in the seat pissing myself laughing, and I'm thinking people must be looking at me right now because it was I was definitely in the moment. That guy is so on point with his comedy right now and the takedown of the woke politics in the UK. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Voices like him, I mean, they've practically destroyed that over in America, but
the only thing that disappoints me about him is he's an atheist.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he thinks that when you die, it's the lights out. Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
he's going to be in for a big surprise.
Yeah. But it's, mate, we are getting to, like this is the battle. So we're a couple of years behind America. We're going through the battle of the wokeness, the battle of...
Well, how far behind the UK, sorry? Like,
Well-
I'd say we're about 5 years behind the Palms.
Yeah. But, and I think we're 2 to 3 years behind. Well, we're like year 2.5 of the Joe Biden era.
Yeah, right.
That's where we are. We have to have some huge swings back to common sense. And then when the right take power, then we need to work out what's controlling that. And we need to have some serious conversations about
the lobby
lobbying.
group needs to make sure that it can get its foot in the door
Yeah, that's
where
it.
it needs to. It needs to
So-
have connections with politicians, bureaucrats,
So
departments.
so who's backing these politicians when the right take power? Well, it's the Australian lobbying group. Who are they controlled by? Well, there's three patriots, that are involved on it, and we are taking no foreign lobbying, no foreign money, no foreign nothing. It is just for the Australian people. So that's what everyone's got to realise.
The good question though is, how do you know you're not taking foreign money?
We're upfront with our financials.
Yeah, the books will be opened every year. What we're
Yep.
not going to do is disclose members' names or the client-based names. That's going to be really important.
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be some trust here that we're going to need from people. People are going to have to go, can we trust these guys to say no when the government of such and such country comes up to you and goes, hey, I'd really like you guys to push for such and such in your country because it's good for Australian citizens. What about go F yourself?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
100%.
If it's not Australia first until we die, it's not going to happen, mate.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Hand on heart pledge. You know, you've taken a pledge for your country before. I've taken a pledge for my country before. There's nothing more powerful. And I was young when I did it, right? And I don't know if I gave it as much gravitas then as I think about it now, but I made a pledge and I'm committed to that pledge.
I've knocked back foreign money for this podcast.
You have. You knocked back the 7,000 shekels, I believe. Yeah. And you weren't shy to say it.
No.
No.
Still got the email.
The shekel money is real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
How do people feel about that?
Yeah, a lot of people came at me for it. But it's the truth, mate. People want to hear it. They want to hear the truth.
G'day, Harvey.
Yeah, and mate, no one. That's the thing, man.
You're just these two anti-Semites just sitting here having a conversation, Sam.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Mate,
Right.
well, yeah, we brought up Jewish lobbying before. We'll probably get thrown in prison for that now.
You know, dude, I'm sick of being called an anti-Semite because I don't really give a shit what you are. I just know that if you're not Australia first, you're not for me. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I get so sick of it. You know, there's so many people now preaching about what's happening around the world, and every single day I've been hitting up reels about what's happening in Australia.
Yeah.
People don't care about what's happening around the world if we're about to have our free speech taken from us.
Was it Jim Jeffries that did that comedy skit that was like, yeah, I'm not a racist, I'm a bigot, I hate everyone equally?
I mean, that's pretty much what I am.
No foreign money, Sam. No
No.
foreign lobbying. What's the first thing you'd do if you were in control of the country?
One day,
Yeah.
for one day.
Yeah, if you were king for a day.
King for a day,
Yeah.
I would automatically pass 2 laws in government. 2 laws that
Well, there's no law required. It's a decree.
okay, yeah. So I would sign a decree, and it would be I would tie the politicians' pay to the books, the country's books.
Performance-based.
Yep. No politician gets paid unless the country makes a profit that month, and we pay down the interest and principal on our loan. That's number 1. Number 2, I'd ban all foreign lobbying.
Done. I would, that performance-based remuneration, I'm completely on board with that. But I would pay them really well. Like, I mean, if you guys balance the books and start paying down the debt and doing the job and steering the ship towards the right direction. I'm talking Alan Joyce levels, Qantas CEO type money. I wouldn't have a problem with that, because if you're performing, but Alan Joyce got paid for dog shits, but that's a different story. But I'm talking CEO level remuneration for real performers in politics to deal with this issue.
Yep. Because then they wouldn't have to take money from lobbying groups, would they?
No, they wouldn't have to.
Because they couldn't be influenced by it, because we'd be paying that well. And if they're making the country billions of dollars, a couple million here and there to pay our politicians a bit of extra, doesn't matter, does it?
I've heard Trump talking recently. I mean, there have been snippets of information about trying to get rid of income taxes in America. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have.
And, he ran on a policy of getting rid of taxes on tips and like certain low band.
Yeah, the Democrats copied it.
Which I think is fantastic, right? Like, why do you tax the lowest paid workers in your economy? Why, in Australia, with an apprentice shortage, are we taxing apprentices? Why are we making apprentices pay 12% of money into superannuation? Why are we hamstringing the future of this country? Any politician who ran on the ability or the policy to try and help people get ahead should get ahead. Australia is one of the wealthiest, resource-richest nations on the planet. We've got a energy crisis, housing crisis, cost of living crisis, cities overflowing crisis. How does that happen when we've got so much money, Sam?
Mark Boros came up with a with something cool the other day, and it's funny as well because
you'll be on his podcast next.
I think he had a good friend of mine on the other day. I can't say anything because obviously that'll be released in the episode. But my podcast actually overtook his the other day.
Woohoo! And I'm a big fan of Mark Boros.
Yeah,
I hate the way he has that kooky guy on though, because I think he's the shittest economist in Australia.
Yeah.
And I don't care if he's listening to this, because dude, you are so wrong. It's not funny. But Mark entertains people, right? He gives when I say entertains people, he allows people the ability to talk out there, and get out there.
Yeah, and he had a good thing the other day where it says if you're under the age of 40, flat 20% tax rate, and then when you get older, above 40, then you start to get taxed accordingly. Ramps up, and he just said that's the way to get our younger generation, to give them an opportunity. I thought that's really, really good. But what about if we just had a flat rule where we just had a flat 20% tax rate for everyone for lifetime? Like if we taxed our natural resources,
why do we have to have tax?
Business.
I'll take that a step further. Australia raises $300 billion a year in income tax, right? And for the revenue pool that the government has, $300 billion comes from income tax. A big chunk of that comes from public service income tax as well, which is the snake eating its own tail, right? So how do you get rid of income tax? Okay, the country needs to generate enough money to cover that. Well, okay, what has the business got to do to cover that? I own a business. You own a business. I know what my overheads are. If you're going to sell your shirts and your bucket hats and all your beautiful gear, you don't sell them for less than you paid for them, right? Australia is selling its stuff for less than we dig it out of the ground for, and then giving it away, and then you're filling the gap, mate, with your income tax.
Well, not only that, we're letting, with a simple spreadsheet analysis or whatever they put in, Gerard Rennick's really good at this, we're letting taxes go over to Ireland. With a tick of an approval from our government. That's hundreds of millions of dollars in tax go. They're probably billions of dollars
with a
in
pissy
tax.
Little withholding tax at our end.
Yeah.
Because like my Facebook account, for example, I spend a lot of money on social media advertising for my businesses. I pay Ireland.
Yeah.
That bill comes from Ireland.
Yeah, I remember when I used to boost my posts in the early days, I used to pay Ireland for it. It's like, why am I paying Ireland?
Yeah.
Oh, because they've set up all their tax stuff over there because it's cheaper for them.
Yep, same with Pfizer. Yeah, where did all that jab money go?
Everyone does.
Ireland.
Every massive business, Windows, XP, X probably do it.
Yeah.
Everyone does it. Every single business that you use.
Apple has $1 trillion in cash. Australia's national debt, Apple has in cash. How's that possible? Because they are structured somewhere where the government doesn't take all that money and then waste it on, we've said this before, the Department of Blue Hairs, mate.
Yeah. I wonder how much if you cut that away. Like, for example, the AFP came out the other day and they said there's a LGBTQIA plus advisor. I wonder how many hundreds of thousands of dollars they pay on that person.
What worries me more is you knew all those letters in order and the plus at the end.
That's why, because I've said it so many times in a row now. That's just, it's just
in your brain.
It's it. Hey, let's chat about the event we got coming up on Australia Day.
Woohoo! I heard you're going to be in Brisbane, Sam.
Yeah, I will, and I'm going to do a post for it as well to let everyone know that I'm marching up in Brisbane because I love my country and I want to see the immigration policy, the current immigration policy, be completely revised, shut the gates. So we need to get this the housing market under control, so we get inflation under control, and so we get our country and our identity under control. That's why I'll be going up there and marching on January the 26th, Australia Day, and I can't wait.
Your second rally with us in Queensland as well.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, damn right. You had a good time last time.
Great time, loved it.
Yeah, a lot of people wanted to talk to you, shake your hand, and it was a great interaction with the crowd. A lot of people too, hey. Massive.
I think this one will be even bigger.
Well, gosh, crossing my fingers, saying my prayers every night, mate. And we're certainly doing our best to try and, pull that off. These events are hard, man. Like doing 3 of these since August, that's taken a lot of time and effort from people. I'm not sure if people fully understand the logistics that's involved in this stuff. The coordination with security, Queensland Police, the forms and permits required to get it done too, making sure that you can deal with all eventualities and problems that might arise, getting people involved to come along as well. By the time this episode goes out, the speaker list will be published, so we're fine to say that we've got some big-name politicians coming along. And people are going to go, oh, well, you're cucking for politicians, or you're just platforming these guys because you support their policies. Nah, they're there to try and convince you, the people, hopefully the thousands of people that are going to be there, that these people are worth supporting. It's their job, and it's not my job to tell you to support them. There's a platform for them to speak to, and they're going to be potentially voted in at the next election. You make the decision about whether you like them or not. And that's why we do that. And
also, as well, it's a great day, and let's just present a strong, united front. If we all agree on one sector or one policy or something that's happening in the government and we can fight back. Let's not fight amongst each other and say that we're cucking out for this and cucking out for that. Let's just say that we're all going to go and support the event and ensure that our voices are heard.
What's the one thing we all agree on, though?
That immigration needs to be pulled back.
100%. Shut the gates. Like complete closure, stop. And I mean, the ALG policy is really clear on this. Our goal is to remigrate Australians that have left the country by making it favourable to come back to Australia. A lot of great people have left Australia because they can't afford to stay here anymore, right? And so we want those people to come back to Australia. That's what we should be doing.
Well, they can afford. They just don't like paying ridiculous amounts of tax, and they go over to the UAE and pay 15% tax.
Yeah, 100%. So come out Australia Day, right? It's Australia Day. A lot of people said, oh, you can't protest on Australia Day. Well, this is a rally. It's a march. It's a celebration of Australia. We've got a great live band on. We've got comedian performing. We've got a bunch of great speakers. We've got entertainment. We've got food. It's a massive free barbecue sausage sizzle up in Queensland. That's been huge to organise, logistically tricky. And some great people like yourself and some other big influencers come along as well. Good chance to meet and greet and enjoy the day. Right, and get passionate about Australia. Bring your flag and wave it high.
And also, we live in a democracy where you have the freedom of right and freedom of choice to do what you want on whatever day. And if there's people that, and I heard a really, really good take on this the other day from an Indigenous dude. And he's like, I don't care if people want to go out and celebrate Australia Day, but me personally, because we live in a free country, I'm going to choose to not celebrate it because of what's happened in the past, and that's my views. And I said, well, that's fine. We live in a free country. If people want to do that, they do that. But then he came out and said, he goes, for all the Indigenous people out there, don't get angry at all the people that are celebrating Australia Day for what they believe in, because they're allowed to do that. And I'm like, very based take on it, very balanced take. You can do what you want, you can do what we want. So if anyone coming out and saying that, oh, you shouldn't be marching on this day, it's where you live in a democracy. It's a free country. We're allowed to do what I want. If you guys want to choose to not celebrate it and do what you do with that day, you do that.
Yeah, that's right. I've been really encouraged by seeing some large Aboriginal account influencers, like genuine Aboriginals, real Australian Aboriginal people coming out going, we need to unite with the rest of the Australians that want to shut the gates and get our country under control.
Because they know if we bring in too many more minority groups, they'll be pushed to the back of the line.
Yeah, and what's this like mental gymnastics bullshit that the Palestinians are connected to the Aboriginal cause? And then there's this other one that the Indians think that they've got some kind of DNA link with the Aboriginals.
That was stupid. The lady said that in Parliament, Western Australian Parliament.
I was disgusted by that. And you try and put, honestly, you say that in front of me, I'm going to call you a liar and tell you you're full of shit.
Yeah, she was that. That lady was full of shit, man. That was absolutely terrible.
But she got elected.
Yeah, I know.
She has a voice, and she's representing an electorate. What's her electorate look like? I can tell you what it looks like. There's a. You want to talk about the invasion of Australia? I'll tell you what Invasion Day is. It's every single day when we're bringing in 1,500 people from other countries into our country right now.
And why are we doing that?
Because it's good for the property Ponzi scheme.
Because we're drowning in debt. A lot of people don't realise this. They think that And, your Tony Burke's of the world and your Anthony Albanese and your Penny Wongs, they'll call everyone racist and a bigot for speaking up against immigration. But why is immigration at $500,000 a year? Because we have almost $1 trillion in debt. To service that debt, we need to bring in a lot of people into the country. More taxes, more benefits, and more people to prop up their Ponzi housing economy. That's the fact.
Well, the country's credit rating relies on a GDP growth number. A recession screws the credit rating, which bumps up our interest payments as well. But the problem with Australia is that our whole economy has been built on immigration now.
Yeah.
What we should have done with COVID when the borders reopened again was we shouldn't have really reopened the borders. We should have just gone, you know what, this is a reset moment for Australia, for us right now in our economy, to go, what's not working here, and let's fix things first before we open for business with the rest of the world. But we didn't, right? We didn't fix jack shit. We just opened the borders and went, come on down, everyone. Welcome to Australia.
Yeah.
We're
going to bring down a whole bunch of requirements for what people can get in and out on.
What did you think about that Dharma stuff that came out we pushed out the other week?
I haven't really looked into it yet.
Yeah.
Could you explain it to me?
Well, look, Dharma is a scheme that's direct area migration access. So what they do is they use this scheme to bring in foreign workers into Australia, and they subvert or go around the standard immigration processing rules. So they can be older, they can have a lower English and education standard, and they can be then go to remote areas like Alice Springs, for example, and work in the NDIS and care industries out there.
Sounds about right.
25,000 people in Alice Springs, 5,000 of them are Indians.
Really?
Yep. And guess what? The whole of the Northern Territory is covered by a Dharma agreement, which is an agreement between particular regional areas and the federal government.
Wow.
It's crazy, dude.
So they're just flooding in voters practically.
And you know what? These people are coming in at 50 years old with really low English standards, and they are looking after your elderly people.
And this is my thing, right? What do they have to benefit Australia?
They don't.
Like I seen a piece the other day where there was a 56-year-old Afghanistan man came in with no family members, nothing like that. He ended up sexually assaulting 3 women.
Yeah.
What benefit does that have for him to come into the country of
Well, are we
Australia?
going to keep him in jail now? Are we going to pay for that? Or are we deporting him back to Afghanistan?
No, we're just keeping him and probably putting him on bail.
Because if we send him back there, they'll cut his head off probably. Yeah. I don't want this to be our problem, but I don't want anyone coming to Australia at 50 thinking they're going to claim a pension in their 60s that my kids are going to pay for, that I'm going to pay for. I just got my payroll tax bill in Queensland where we pay payroll tax for having employees and, got reamed again every single year, taxes on taxes on taxes. And then I find out that I'm going to be that I'm paying pensions for people that came here in their 50s to retire in their 60s through these programs, these Dharma programs. And they haven't contributed a lifetime of taxation to the system here. That's just insane. It makes no sense unless you're trying to bring in more voters, mate. This is a pathway to citizenship here. It's nuts.
Yeah,
it's actually one of the most treasonous things that I've ever heard about.
Well, when you break it down like that, it's treasonous by traitors.
Yeah,
that hate this country, and they tell us that we're the ones full of hate in our heart.
Now, those regional electorates, especially these ones that are under these Dharma schemes, right? They're so desperate for workers, apparently, skilled workers, like low English, no actual qualifications, and in their 50s, they're so desperate that they're that they are now bringing in that many people that they're adjusting the percentage of the vote that might lean towards conservatism or right-wing politicians. So if you could take an electorate like, the Alice Springs area, for example, Alice Springs has 25,000 people. You put 5,000 people from India in there.
Done. Election over.
They're never going to vote Liberal.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen. So you've now swung and gerrymandered all of these seats around the country using your migration scheme.
Because it's off seats, it's not votes,
Dude, I can't stress this enough to people. This is an absolutely crucial issue that needs to be resolved in this election cycle that's coming up. It's got to end.
Wow.
Yep, that's how bad it is. And so you wipe out Conservatives across the country. The Labor government's one of the worst governments this country's ever had. Albo's one of the worst prime ministers this country has ever had. There is no doubt about that.
The worst.
And every time I see people in the comments that go, oh, yeah, you're just salty because you're lost and he's popular. What, at 34%? that's not a majority. You know, come on, he sucks, and everybody knows he sucks, and he's only there because he's Stephen Bradbury'd his way through it, right? And so you've got one of the worst prime ministers leading one of the worst governments, pushing through some of the worst legislation in Australian history because of the migration Ponzi scheme that we've run in Australia. That's why they're allowed to get away with this right now. This is why shutting the gates is imperative. It's why turning up on Australia Day is absolutely crucial. If this pisses you off, turn up. Yeah,
that's it. And when does it start, and where is it?
So Botanical Gardens in Brisbane, 12 p.m. And if you're one of our volunteers that's going to turn up and help with the half a ton of sausage cooking that kicks off at 7 a.m. in the morning, you need to be there by 10:30 a.m. So if you're a volunteer, please be there at 10:30. Same location that the last rally ended at, but this time we're starting from the Botanical Gardens. Be there by 12 p.m. We're going to have an hour of music and speeches, and then we're going to march at 1 o'clock from that location. There's about a 1.5 kilometre route through the city. We'll be waving the flags and holding our ground and telling the rest of Australia that this is our city. And then we'll be going back to that same point where the band is and enjoying the afternoon. So free feed. The food will be on as soon as you roll up there anyway. So grab a snag, grab some bread, grab some onions. We got so many onions, it's not funny. And we'll go back to that point and have music and comedian and speeches, mate. So start and finish at the same location. Now, if you've got an elderly, parent or someone who's older or young kids that want to come along, bring them along. And they can stay in that same spot at the Botanical Gardens while everyone else goes and march. Because I know we had a lot of older people last time that said, we'd love to come, but we can't march. Great, come along. You know, this time you can stay at the one spot, be entertained while the rest of us do the rally, do the march. Yeah,
I must say as well that I was very taken back on the march that I attended, how much of a family event it was.
Yeah, wasn't it good?
Families everywhere. Like, that's the greatest thing about it. It's not just a bunch of middle-aged people that might be shouting X, Y, and Z. It's families there, kids are there, people pushing, women are pushing their prams along. There's elderly there. There's all walks of life there. There's immigrants there that want the door shut behind them.
Yeah,
like that's the type of people that are there as well. Because I had this Brazilian guy come up to me at the gym the other day, and I could tell he was Brazilian because he had a very heavy Brazilian accent. I was talking to him. And he goes, mate, I love everything you're saying. I love everything that you're saying. And he goes, these people don't understand what these type of governments can do to your country. I just came from Brazil and they have destroyed my country. That's why I'm here. And I said, what do you think about everything that I speak up against immigration? Like what do you think about how I say that we need to shut the gate and, immigrants aren't... we need to have a stop on this stuff so we can take the country and make sure, that younger generation can be priced back into the housing market, shut the gate, all that stuff. He goes, I 100% agree with you. Uh-huh. I want the gate shut behind me.
Yep.
It needs to be shut behind me. I'm a citizen. I need it shut behind me.
Yeah.
Because he goes, you don't understand what we're bringing in. You don't understand the ideologies that we're bringing in. And if we continue this way as a government, we will be on a worse trajectory than what Brazil was.
Yeah, he's a citizen now, right? So in my mind, he's safe. We're going to end up, potentially remigrating temporary visa holders, bridging visas and that type of stuff over time because the country's not going to be able to sustain it, like financially going forward at some stage, now, especially if the ALG has its way with the policies that we're pushing to. So, there needs to be a real readjustment of the way we look at these migration numbers, university sector and stuff like that. That Brazilian guy is a great example. A lot of people think it's a golden ticket and treat it like the golden ticket that it should be. But when you've got people from the third world coming here and looking at our government going, how can I steal as much money from you as possible with these NDIS fraud scams and these Dharma scams and all the rest of it, then I just go, you people are traitors and we need to get you out of here.
There's a couple of people picking up all the NDIS frauds in Western Sydney, isn't there?
Isn't it awesome, mate?
They are just going.
Well, that's how we got onto the Dharma stuff, was through the NDIS fraud stuff.
It's, there was one base for NDIS fraud and it had a $250,000 car sitting out the front of it.
Yeah. I mean, I begrudge whatever someone's driving. But look, you've dealt with DVA, I've dealt with DVA, try and deal with these government departments. And then you find out that, like my PT, for example, who I train with every week, he has NDIS clients. They pay twice as much as I pay, right? Because they're NDIS, right? Yeah. So they get X amount of funding. So this is the benchmark pricing point, And so...
And whenever people see that, they just double their... because it's government funding money, they're like, yeah, this is easy.
Yeah, it's easy. And now, the NDIS has grown faster than anyone expected. 800,000 people currently on the NDIS. In Australia, it was designed for 80,000 people.
I think it's, what is it, swallowing up 40 or 50 billion a year or something?
It's bigger than the defence budget next year.
There you go.
It's on track to bankrupt the country. So someone's going to have to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to deal with it?
Well, it won't bankrupt us. What we will do is we'll just keep borrowing more money, printing more money, and then eventually it'll bury the dollar.
Yeah, the dollar's pretty much buried already.
Mm.
Yeah. I hate knowing that this stuff is happening in my country and that we're paying for it and funding it right now. There's people that come here with the idea that they are going to defraud Australia. Mm. They're coming here to steal from your country and from your government, and your government's letting it happen because it buys votes.
I live in a very heavily Italianised area here in Adelaide, and I speak to a lot of people that came from places like Italy, Greece and Lebanon when they were young kids. And you ask them, or they might have come in when they were 20 or something. You ask them what they got when they got here. They got nothing. And if they didn't contribute to society and work their asses off, they were put on the first boat back home.
Yeah,
and they are so angry that what the current immigrants are getting to compared to how they were treated back then.
Yep.
I mean, you talk to my uncle. My uncle was put in a camp. He came over from Italy. He was a 5-year-old, and he just remembers his mum crying every single night. And then they got put out. The dad found work as a bricklayer or something, worked his ass off, sent his kid to a good school, and now he owns a trucking company in Adelaide.
Yeah, a lot of them went out to the things like the Snowy Hydro scheme after the Second World War. But could you imagine what it must have been like for Australian soldiers who watched migrants from Italy come to Australia when we were fighting against the Italians just a couple of years before?
Yeah.
And then what would have been like watching Japanese cars get imported to Australia in the 60s and 70s, when a lot of World War II veterans around still then, because I remember those guys when I was a kid in the late 70s and early 80s.
Some of them would have been 20 years old and they would have been 40 by the time we were importing Japanese cars.
Yeah. My great-granddad, mate, he had no time for it whatsoever. He would have just like, no, screw those Japanese. I'm not driving those cars.
Look at the Afghanistan war. It took us 20 years to replace the Taliban with the Taliban, and now the government has to work with the Taliban government. The very guys that we were trying to replace, and we picked up our shit, walked out, and 2 weeks later they took the country back.
On the 1st of January, when they have the rollover of the classified government documents, I don't know if you saw this year, but the briefings that John Howard got about the 2009 Afghanistan surge were released.
You sent that to me, didn't you?
And it was like, he was, advised, don't do it. There's no outcome here. There's no exit. It's going to be, no. So what did we do? We did it. You were part of that, Sam.
Stuck with the US.
Yep.
That's how closely tied we were to the US administration.
Yeah. There's no goal end KPI outcome for this, and we're recommending you don't do it. So what did we do?
We did it.
Great.
When was that? Like 02 or 03 or something?
09.
09.
Yeah, when the big surge happened, 09.
To keep going.
Yeah, to keep going.
Yeah.
And so when did you deploy? 2012?
Yeah.
So you would have been part of that continued push. At that point, we should have been looking for the exit door, going, hey, we need to get the heck out of this thing.
Yeah, because we started pulling back in around, after my tour, 13, 14, they started pulling back from the FOB and patrol bases, and they would, within days, they were overrun by the Taliban.
Yeah,
areas that we'd fought over for 5 or 6 years to get to a strong foothold in. We moved back and then we were done within a week or two.
Yeah.
And then, progressively we pulled back main bases, and then, they did they were doing trips to Kabul for the boys. They weren't doing them down in TK. And then when they left Kabul, I mean, everyone knows the scenes happened after that.
Yeah, that was crazy watching that. Often wondered, my granddad did a tour in Vietnam in 69. He was an older warrant officer at that point, though, so, no combat, but he was based out of Vung Tau in Ordnance. But often wondered how he felt watching the fall of Saigon, and compared that to how you guys must have felt watching the fall of Afghanistan when Kabul fell, and whether there was kind of that same feeling like what a waste of time that shit was,
Yeah. I mean, I still love my time in the army, and I would never change anything. But you will just like
the political outcome.
Yeah, just like we literally left the country a few weeks ago, and now everyone's running away from the Taliban.
Yeah, that's right. But, it's happened to the Russians as well. I watched that movie recently, Charlie Wilson's War, with Hank, what's his name?
Can't conquer Afghan, mate.
Yeah.
Can't conquer Afghan.
Yeah, it's killed empires, mate.
The greatest military in the world couldn't conquer him. Alexander the Great?
Yeah.
So Alexander the Great ran from Greece, defeated the entirety of the Persian Empire, some massive battles along Lebanon and Gaza. He obviously founded Alexandria, and then he went east, to get to the lands of India and stuff like that. And he writes, the hardest place to control, the hardest place to have a hand and fist over was Afghanistan.
Exactly the same culture back then.
Like fighting small different tribes all the time. He even started marrying some of his generals off to high profile women in that area, and he just still could not get a foothold.
I'm sure those generals were impressed by that. You lived over there for, obviously quite a while and met quite a few of them. Would you let them migrate to Australia?
No.
You racist.
Yeah. Well, sorry. It's, a lot of them are, look, I've always said Afghanistan is a beautiful country. The Afghanistan people that aren't connected to warlords or they aren't connected to the Taliban, they are nice people. But I'm sorry, Australia is Australia. Like, we cannot just let in droves of people from that part of the world, because also at the same time as well, like, I have an incident overseas where there was a Taliban soldier that went undercover as an Afghan soldier and ended up shooting 3 of us one night and killed 3 of my mates. Like, I just don't trust that part of the world. I'm sorry. Like, we cannot import en masse from that part of the world. We cannot import en masse from Africa. Like, we've got to stop importing from these places. And like that, I'm assuming there are great and fantastic people within those communities, but that doesn't mean that Australia needs to suffer from bringing in from our, what do you call it? You call it suicidal empathy.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of white women are addicted to it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And feminized men as well. As you know, I've owned my own building company for 17 years. So I've dealt with a really broad spectrum of different type of nationalities of people that have moved to Australia over that period of time. And I can tell you right now that there's certain migrant classes that will always try to rip you off, no matter what. And it was recently, I got sent a video about people from certain parts of the world. I won't name them. Not going to get you in trouble. Won't name them. That in their mindset and in their culture, they literally think that they have to rip you off. That's how they are raised to think. They do that to each other. You're not special because they're trying to rip you off because you're Anglo-based white Australian.
You're not special because you're white.
We do this to everybody. Yeah. And I can tell you, I know because I go to the site visits, I meet the customers, I've done all that, and I'm like, I know from past history that you're probably not going to pay me. That's just the way it is. Now, that's pretty un-Australian? I would say that's pretty shitty behaviour. But as a business owner, I have to adjust to that.
Well, it's also called instinct.
My instinct tells me that you're a threat to my business. You're a threat to my kids being fed.
Well, and also a past history.
Unfortunately, right? And they go, oh, you're stereotyping. No, I'm just telling you what the trend says. The trend is your friend.
Yeah.
And the trend at the moment in Australia is that suicidal empathy is going to lead us straight down the garden path to hell, mate.
And importing foreign wars.
I don't care about anyone else's wars.
No, this is the thing, you import people from the Middle East and you import people from Israel. They're naturally not going to get along because they naturally hate each other.
Yeah.
And then they come here and they bring that hatred here. Do you remember before the Bondi shooting, they had a whole bunch of pro-Palestine and pro-Israel people both protest on Bondi?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
I remember thinking and looking at that and just saying, hey, both sides, how about we get both sides and we get them all together and we deport the lot of them?
All of you here right now are tagged.
Yep. Half of you go back to Israel, the other half go back to Palestine.
Yep.
We don't want this foreign bullshit on our shores anymore. That's what I remember thinking that at the time and just being like, how are these people arguing at Bondi on a foreign land about what's happening 3, 4, 5, 10,000 miles away? What is this bullshit? Like, I was so annoyed. The guy riding up and down with his horse with a Palestine flag, and then you had the guys And then you had the guys, you had the Israelis, they were standing up and they were like, laughing at the Palestinian people down on the beach. And I was disgusted at it. Both sides. Both sides can piss off.
Yeah, both sides can piss off. What I also hate as well is the revisionism of history, right? And so what I saw was that someone had AI'd the charge of Beersheba, right? The Australian light horse there that took the wells of Beersheba, and superimposed Israeli flags on those guys. Yeah. Like that Australia was there to support the Zionist state, The
Israeli flag wasn't even a thing then. It wasn't even made up. It wasn't invented. There was no Israel as a country.
Australia died for Greater Israel, mate.
Yeah,
I know. Look, anyway, Australia Day, come on down, make sure you're there. We need people to show up. We want to. If this stuff upsets you, the stuff that you listen to that Sam talks about, come on down and show us that you're upset and have a good time with us as well.
I can't wait, and that's a great way to end the episode as well. So Scott Challen, mate, thank you for coming on for the second time, and it won't be the last time.
Sam, we'll definitely talk again sometime coming up in the future, and plenty coming up with the lobby group too, people. And thanks again, Sam, for your part in it, and it's great being in business with you as well.
Thank you.
See you, mate.
Thanks for tuning in to Two Worlds Collide podcast. If you want to support what I'm doing, you can grab some merch or jump on my Patreon program. Both links are in the description. Until next week, take care, guys.